faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's...
This is a huge play over to Aiken. His foot was out. His foot was out of play, and now it's a Vixens ball. Oh, really throws it away. Time's on their side, Liz. Time is on their side. We could be set to the first draw of the season.
Barnish contact.
Chatfield to Brown to Caldwell. Can barely hear ourselves in Hisense Arena. The crowd's going crazy. Karen Howard. She goes.
Vixens have the next set of pass. It's an enormous play. They've got 18 seconds. Can they get out of jail? Going backwards from the centre pass. High ball. Going from the ball position.
It's been given to Karen Howard.
Goal take front position. It's not a penalty.
It's been given to Karen Howard to cover herself in glory. She goes for the second straight week. Can you believe it?
And it was for the second straight week. The Melbourne Vixens coming from a long way back in the last quarter to win by a point in the dying seconds of the match. Last week it was Tegan Caldwell. Kieran Howarth on this occasion getting the job done. Welcome to Superwomen Live, the official show of the Melbourne Vixens and Netball Victoria. In this week's edition, proudly presented by the Melbourne Vixens premier partner Jason Betting, helping the Melbourne Vixens rest and recover. And our next special guest on the program is Chelsey Tregear. Chelsey, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations. I guess the key question is, how have you managed to pull that out of the fire 2 weeks in a row? Obviously, the Magic led by 6 goals midway through the last quarter. This time, Queensland led by 8 goals midway through the last quarter. You've been able to get on a roll, make a few changes, and come over the top with goals in the last 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's been a nail-biting couple of weeks, and I guess for us, it's great that we can finish off and continue fighting through the game and come through with the victories, but we obviously don't want to get ourselves in that situation to begin with, so that's something that we need to look at and work out for next week.
What is the message after a game like that? Is it sort of, on one hand, congratulations because of the fight, you're able to just keep fighting your way through, or is it addressing why you're falling behind in the first place?
I think a bit of both. Initially, it's congratulations. I guess a win is a win, and we get the points, and that's what we're after. And also, you know, there's players that have come on and done a great job under pressure and made sure that we got that win. So that's what first is addressed. But then we obviously look at, you know, how do we get ourselves 8 goals down in that last quarter, and you know, even in the third quarter, and how do we go about preventing that down the track?
Was last week used at all in discussions this week? Was it sort of, well, we were here 7 days ago, it reinforces what we're able to do? Was that discussed at all, or was it just something that was in players' minds?
In terms of
inspiring you when you were 7-8 goals behind, when you had say a timeout or an injury time when Amy Steele went off, is it something that people discuss and say, look, we did this last week, we can do it again now? Or?
Yeah, I think even at three-quarter time, you know, in our huddle, we were like, we can do this, you know, and we just had that belief, and I guess we had that same belief last week, but having actually done it last week, just, I guess, reinforces that we can do it for this week.
A lot of people saying, excellent match, Melbourne Vixens, Queens of the comeback. You're on the road for the next couple of games. Obviously started the first 3 weeks on the road, then a couple of big home performances. Now off to play the Tactics and then the Swifts. So the next home game is on Sunday, the 20th of May, Hisense Arena again against the Northern Mystics, the best team from New Zealand. We've got 5 double passes to give away to that one as well. And again, best questions put forward to Chelsey on the back of this particular game. Can give yourself a chance. We'll read those out and pose them to Chelsey. 5 double passes available for the Vixens' third home game of the season, Sunday the 20th of May, so a couple of weeks away, against the Northern Mystics. Now, after record-breaking crowds at the Melbourne Vixens' first 2 home games, the team is now on the road for round 6 and 7. But as we said, back at Hisense Arena in a few weeks. Let's welcome them back with an even bigger crowd. Purchase your tickets through Ticketek now to secure your spot in the action. You can also jump on the website melbournevixens.com.au in order to become a member. One that I just sort of wanted to ask, because I was curious watching the Vixens last season. I know you played a quarter at Goal Attack, and I know you have in the past played there. I guess how much of that was part of your background, and just out of curiosity, is it something that an element of your training is based around now in case that happens again, or is it now exclusively trained as a mid-court player now?
So I did most of my junior netball. I was a goal attack, goal shooter, and it was when I went up to the AIS in 2004 that I moved out to the wing and sort of was doing a bit of both goals and wing attack for a couple of years back then. But yeah, probably the last few years it's been more centre court, in particular wing attack and a little bit of centre this year. And the start of this season I was doing a little bit of goals at training, but our goalers are doing a fantastic job, so I'm happy to stay on the outside of the circle at the moment, and I'm actually not doing too much training in goals these days. So
we saw the rotations again, the defensive rotations midway through the first quarter when you were down 12-5 with the Chatfield-Corletto swap.
Yep.
Then the changes in attack again, changes in the mid-court where you and Maddie Brown changed, and then Sarah Wall came on, and Sarah Wall I think had only had 2 minutes court time this season prior to that, and I think her efforts in the last quarter were also hugely significant, but
Absolutely.
It must also give you confidence to know that you can rotate off the bench in a number of different ways and change things up if it's not working, and eventually you'll get the mix.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for us, having that depth within our squad and having the rotations on court and to be able to bring players on and have fresh legs and for them to come on and do a great job and, is going to hold us in good stead for the rest of the season. And we've got such a great group of players and everyone deserves to be out there on court. So it's great to see when players do get the chance that they, really make the most of it.
And one of our favourite SMSs, Ben in Hillside, Benny Carbonara, I'm sure a lot of the Vixens girls are familiar with, says, well done to you, Chelsea and Madison Brown. Your link work in the Vixens mid-court has been amazing so far this season. Your work ethic and attitude when it came to getting back to top level as captain of the Fury is very inspiring. So,
thanks, Ben.
From Benny there. Again, I'll give you free tickets, Ben, but you don't need them. Tony is in Craigieburn. Good evening, Tony.
Yeah, good day, guys. How are you this fine evening?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, look, I went to the game this afternoon, and it was the first time I've actually been to a Vixens game, and I can just say it was an absolutely fantastic spectacle. The way that you guys get the whole sort of court rocking and everything in that last quarter, it gave us a few scares tonight. But look, 8 goals down. I took my daughter with me as well, and she was saying, "Well, Dad, can they still win? Can they still win?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I hope so." But we always had the faith, and then when they had a couple of turnovers towards the end, it was really good. But just a question: how do you play on someone the size of Aitken? I'm pretty sure she's from Jamaica, and she just towers over that defence. And I just sort of like, geez, every time she could almost just reach over and just pop the ball into the net there.
I think she stands 196, Romelda Aiken, and you don't envy Jiva Mentor having to play on a role like that, and she's obviously had to play on Bassett and these sorts of players, Borrego, so far this season. So, yeah, pretty tough. I think they did stats that she's got the longest span, I guess, from arm to arm, I think, in the league in terms of reach, so it makes it very, very difficult. Yeah,
absolutely, and Jiva Mentor did a brilliant job today, and I guess the thing is, from a team's perspective, when we come up against someone that tall, it's not just up to Jiva to stop her. We've got to do the work out the front to make sure we slow down the ball that's going in there, to give Jiva a chance to take her intercepts and to be able to read the play and to try and force the ball up as well. So get the high balls coming in and I guess get the balls coming in where they might make an error on the pass and give our defensive line as much opportunity to cut those balls off and take the intercepts.
0433 98 11 16 if you'd like to SMS through a question for Chelsea. The best 5 questions wins a double pass, or each of you will win a double pass to the Vixens' third home game against the Northern Mystics on Sunday, the 20th of May. In terms of those rotations, I guess leading on to questions in regards to your own personal matchups, obviously it's hard with the number of players running through the midcourt, but is there a player that you found over your career to be the most difficult direct midcourt matchup? Hardest player to get away from? Or? Yeah,
I guess there's quite a few. I mean, particularly playing wing attack, every wing defence is, they're out there to stop you, and they certainly stick tight and don't give you much space at all. I always found Kim Smith, who was a Sydney Swifts player, just super tight. You take your space away and not allow you cut to the circle. But certainly lots of players. Monty Gerard, another one who's really tough to play on. And I think in this competition, any player you come up against is tough, and you've got your work cut out for you each week. So we certainly make sure we do our homework leading into each game and work out a way that we can beat our opponents.
Something a lot of people have observed is the competition seems to have tightened up a little bit this year. I know over the last couple of seasons, particularly in New Zealand, we've seen the Tactics and the Pulse struggle quite a bit. They might win 3 games between them. The Pulse, they might beat each other, and then the Pulse might beat the Steel at home or something like that. And the Fever have sometimes battled a little bit in Australia, but I know you're going to play the Tactics next week, who are one of those perennial sides that's been seen at the bottom, but it does look as if the competition itself has tightened up in that the worst sides are better, and even the better sides now can be beaten on their day, like what was seen last week with the Magic potentially.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's been a lot of player movement between the teams, particularly the New Zealand teams. And certainly all the teams have strengthened. And yeah, there's no easy game out there. So, coming up against the Tactics this week, they gave us a really good run for our money in the Hillside, in the pre-season tournament. Sorry, I was just reading up the screen there.
Benny will be thrilled.
And we can't take them lightly at all. And like you say, there's been so many upsets already this season. So each week's tough, and you just want to get out there and put your best performance out. And you can't take any game for granted.
I'll ask this question off the SMS because I guess it is an interesting one. People are debating it. Julie Coletto, obviously, Darryl, recommitting to the Breakers. Obviously, you're a chance to win the flag, a big chance to win the flag. Are you confident, given how well Julie and the team are going, that you'll be able to secure her again?
Yeah, I hope so. I think everything's going really well this year, and Jules is playing awesome netball, and hopefully if she's enjoying herself enough, then she'll be happy to hang around for a few more years. So.
And just a couple more before we take our first break. To number ending 635, send us or give us a call and we'll take your details. You can head along to the home game against the Mystics in a couple of weeks' time. A lot of people also talk about the differences between playing in Australia and New Zealand. Next week will be the first time you've done it this season, but they look at the difference in umpiring and the difference in interpretations. What are, I guess, some of those major differences? They often say that the game is I guess, refereed differently in both countries? Yeah,
I think just through the different style of defence that's played in each country. So Australia tends to be more one-on-one defensive lineup, whereas in New Zealand there's more the zone, which does get umpired differently. But I think teams are now, the New Zealand teams are starting to play more one-on-one, the Aussie teams are starting to play more zone, and so I think it's evening out a little bit. And we had 2 New Zealand umpires umpiring our game today, and we didn't notice a difference in terms of the calls that were being made, but certainly I guess some of the Australian teams will feel that they get penalised more when you go over and play in New Zealand. So we do have to change a little bit in that we need to be playing from the front rather than coming from behind. If you're coming from behind defensively, you're going to get pulled up when you're over there more than you would here.
It's 10 minutes to 11. Are you a super fan? More than 2,100 super fans have pledged their support for the Melbourne Vixens more than ever before. Join in on the fun, get your season 2012 Vixens membership and show your support as a Superwomen of Netball. Take to the court. 3-game packages are available at melbournevixens.com.au. We'll take a break. SMS your questions through to Chelsey Tregear to win a double pass to their next home game against the Mist. 7 minutes to 11 o'clock. This is Superwomen Live on 11:16 SEN. Behind every team is a great coach, and behind every game is an umpire. Netball Victoria is holding regional development seminars around Victoria, and this year we'll see the addition of an umpiring component, bringing world-class coach and umpire education directly to your doorstep. For further details on this program, please go to the Netball Victoria calendar at www.netballvic.com.au, and if you go to melbournevixens.com.au, you can purchase 3-game membership packages available. Certainly the calibre of home games suggests you should most definitely do that. Brian in Ringwood, who's SMS'd us through, give us your best question for Chelsey Tregear, and we'll certainly be able to help you out with a double pass for the Mystics game. So just shoot that through 0433 98 11 16. Braden in Mirrabel's given us a call and would like to pose a question. Good evening, Braden.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good.
I was just wondering how the trip to New Zealand, if that's any harder than a trip to, say, Sydney or anywhere else in Australia?
Yeah, definitely a lot harder than the trip to Sydney or, say, Adelaide, but quite similar, I guess, to the trip over to Perth. So I guess the only difference being we've got to go through customs and that sort of thing, so you tend to be at the airport a little earlier. But we seem to manage it really well, and some girls will stay on the same time, like they'll stay on Melbourne time while we're over there, or switch to New Zealand time, whatever works for them best. And our schedule's sort of planned so that we are getting full recovery and getting the proper preparation for a game. So it is a little bit tougher than your quick trips to Sydney and Adelaide, but we've sort of got it down pat now. And from our start to the season, we do enjoy travelling. So.
Thank you, Braden. Hold the line. Johnny will take your details. Mystics taking on the Vixens in a few weeks' time. But just on that, how long in advance, given obviously we've debated a long time about the professionalism and that sort of stuff of sport and people working, how far in advance would you say fly interstate? Is it the day before? Or?
We go the day before.
Before.
Back in the day, like Kestrel's days, Phoenix days, we used to go sometimes on the day. But one Kestrel's trip, we flew into Adelaide, couldn't land, had to fly home, back to Melbourne, have lunch at the airport, and then go back in later on and just basically go straight to the game from the airport. So after that, it was sort of, definitely the day before.
Did you feel it that day? Like, was that something where you ended up
we
getting
actually
beaten
played really
and
well.
thought,
No, we played really well. So, not much to be said about that. But, certainly going the day before and early morning of the day before. So we've got plenty of time to get there, have lunch, train, settle in that night, and then get up and play the next day.
Now, looking at, I guess, your path through to where you're at the moment, obviously playing for both the Kestrels and the Phoenix back in the olden days, but then not initially signed with the Vixens, playing with Vic Fury as captain, winning a premiership there, and obviously coming back up, winning Rookie of the Year. Important pathways through, but how much has, I guess, the way the game's been perceived changed? Back in the days where you were playing in the old competition for, say, the Kestrels compared to now, how different is, I guess, the coverage of the game? Yeah,
hugely different. I think just being on Channel 10 and 1HD has put netball out there to a much wider audience, and a lot more media coverage, particularly with the newspapers and things like that. So there's definitely more demands on the players these days, and it's becoming more and more professional, and that's great to see for women's sport.
Joshua, thank you for the SMS through. If you could just call through and relay those to Johnny, that would be fantastic from earlier on. Daniel in Brighton East asked the question, and we'll get on to your day job in a moment. Says, is Chelsea the only full-time worker at the Vixens? How do you juggle, I guess, the commitments with work, obviously being a podiatrist and these sorts of things? We'll get on to that in a moment. But how hard is that to juggle? And I guess are the majority of players, I know that a lot of the players we've spoken to do work outside of the game. Yeah,
everyone's got something that they do outside of training and playing, and we get our schedule well in advance, so it's just a matter of managing your time as best you can. And it's hectic, and there's not much time for anything else during the season. It's pretty much netball and work, and but that's okay. You love both things that you do, and you just make it work. And like I said, get your schedule well in advance and block out the times that you need to be at training and on the road, and it all works out fine.
How hard was it for you? Obviously, being a medical degree, I imagine, would be extremely demanding with time. And obviously, are you able to work, say, a full-time, a 38-hour week or something around your training commitments at the moment?
Yeah, I pretty much, having my own business, it's pretty full on, and I probably would work a lot more than 38 hours. I just basically work whenever I'm not training. So, doing a medical degree was a lot of hours in terms of my commitment each week and at uni and at netball. But the uni was really supportive, and I was able to get through that with doing the study full time. And it was good to have a mix.
And a bit of a plug for the clinic as well. Where can people find that if they want to send some business your way?
Yeah, so I just have a little clinic down in Moorabbin. It's called Moorabbin Foot Centre, and it's me and another podiatrist there, and my mum and my mother-in-law on reception, so it's good fun.
So who was it who sent that through? Daniel in Brighton East, give us a call. You can pick up a double pass to that as well. Con, just in answer to your question as to whether the sport is professional, I think it's classified as semi-professional. Is that what they call it? And that some people can live off it, but some can't?
Yeah, I guess so. But like we said before, I think pretty much all the girls are doing something outside of just training and playing.
Now, obviously, netball's quite demanding on the feet. Do you get much business from your teammates?
Yeah, definitely. They keep me very busy. I love looking after the girls. It's good fun. And I always say netball's feet aren't the prettiest, so there's a bit of work for me to do.
Now, a couple of things as well in terms of getting to know you as well. AFL side, do you support anyone? Everyone else seems to barrack for Carlton.
No, I grew up following the Western Bulldogs, so that's where I'm at. 2
wins in a row, so that's nice to know. Favourite movie?
Favourite movie would be Love Actually.
Love Actually, that's a beauty as well. Not ashamed to admit that. Most annoying teammate? Or
most annoying teammate?
I always say no one's ever prepared to actually answer that, but usually have to change it. So.
No annoying teammates. I love all the girls. So.
I sort of classify it by if you had to play interstate and you didn't want to be roomed with someone because they'd keep you up or they were loud. Something like that.
No, I'm happy to stay up and chat to the girls. So, yeah, no, I don't find anyone annoying. Any
pre-game rituals or superstitions or anything like that?
I used to have a lot of superstitions. I've kind of cut back a little bit on the superstitions, but I always go down the beach with my dog first thing in the morning on game day, have a walk in the water, obviously, if that's for a home game. And I have little things I do, things I eat the same stuff each week before a game just because I know it sits well and won't upset the tummy, and a few little things I do with my shoes and socks when I'm getting ready, but I guess that just has become a habit rather than really a superstition.
What is that pre-game meal? Things like that are obviously pretty important. People are always curious.
I keep it pretty plain, so it's just sort of wheat bix and a bit of toast for brekkie, and then I always have just a plain vanilla rice, jam sandwich and a banana before the game.
Nice. We always get this question as well. Best advice received in your career?
The best advice is just to learn something different or something new from each coach that you have.
And right on cue, someone actually asked that. So there you go. The Vixens showed great depth of talent with Wall and Howarth coming on. Do you think it was a tactical choice by Julie Hornberg that won you the game, or a never-say-die attitude, or a combination of both? Claire from Bundoora.
Oh, I think definitely a combination of both. Obviously, all the girls who were out there at the end there, they weren't going to let the game go. And but certainly the moves that Julie made were great. And the girls that came on, Karen didn't miss a beat and just shot so beautifully. And Sarah and Maddie just linked up perfectly in the mid-court. So both girls did a great job when they came on, but certainly the whole team had that never-say-die attitude.
Brett from St Albans, thank you for the compliment, but mixed netball at Keysborough on a Tuesday night's not quite the same. A couple more here as well. I noticed also that you're best on court against the Fever. You donated that back to your old club at Sandringham. Obviously, the importance of getting back to grassroots netball is obviously quite evident with that as well, giving a little bit back to where it all began. Yeah,
definitely. I think, we've all come from somewhere, and there's so many young, great, talented players out there, and so I love getting back down to Sandringham, where I played all my junior netball, and get back down there and do the trophy presentations and try and take some coaching clinics here and there wherever I can. And, it's just so good to see so many young players out there enjoying their netball.
One of our other questions that we always ask, and tennis usually wins this, if you had at any stage of your life or even now could choose to play any other sport at the elite level, so you could be as good at netball as you are or good at something else as you are at netball, is there a sport that you would pick to play at the highest level?
I think swimming.
Okay.
I love swimming, so it'd be fun to be a swimmer.
Obviously don't mind the early mornings then, if that's the case.
Yeah, maybe that's why I didn't do it.
Now, the tactics, another new challenge, obviously. First trip to New Zealand. They've been okay this season, as we said. They've been competitive basically across the board in all of their matches. They'll play tomorrow night, so you'll get another look at them against the Magic. But what are you expecting there from them?
Another really tough physical game, and, we're going to have to be really on our game to get over the top of them, and we'll definitely be looking at getting off to a much better start than we have in the last couple of weeks. And certainly, like I said before, it's not a game that we can take for granted, and we're going to have to really do our homework and make sure that we're on top of our game next week. And
Adrian in Melton South asks, what is actually an interesting question, will there be a mother-daughter rule anytime soon? As I understand it, Irene Van Dyke's daughter, I think, is about 17, and I think she's coming up through to 14, actually. There you go, so still a couple of years away. But apparently she's got a fair bit of ability, so who knows with Irene Van Dyke, she could play forever, and maybe she'll be playing in the same team as her daughter
that'd be pretty cool.
At one point along the lines. And one last one as well. I asked this last week to Tegan Caldwell. It may have changed. Our best opponent you've played against this year as a team, because obviously the Magic pushed you more than anyone had previously, but then Queensland came out again and put in a much better performance, I guess, than they would have thought in round one.
Yeah.
Is there a standout team, do you think, so far?
Look, all the games have been tough, and I guess, a couple of weeks ago I would have probably said the Thunderbirds, but the result of that game, I I guess doesn't really show that. So you'd have to go with either Magic or Firebirds, and probably the Magic game. I thought, both teams played really well, and it was, just one of those things, and we got over the line in the end. So, and they've got so many quality players in their team, as do the Firebirds, as does every team. So,
and I will throw one last one at you off the SMS as well, number 713. You can give us a call. It's a good question. With an exciting finish 2 weeks in a row, what is easier, sitting on the sidelines or actually being out on court? Out on court, obviously, you probably feel you can play your role and help, but on the bench you'd be a little bit more helpless. But is that easier or harder? Or? I
think it's definitely easier being out there because, like you say, you do have some control. It was so nerve-wracking sitting on the sideline. I couldn't hardly even watch. So, and last week being out there in that last sort of couple of minutes, it was all a blur. You kind of just do whatever's happening, but on the bench it was just so nerve-wracking. So I'd definitely say easier being out there.
Well, Chelsea 5 and zip, thank you very much. Congratulations on the victory. We appreciate you joining us. Best of luck across the ditch against the Tactics next week and for the remainder of the season, and hopefully we can speak with you again soon.
Yeah, thanks very much.
This has been Superwomen Live. Are you a super fan? More than 2,100 super fans have pledged their support for the Melbourne Vixens more than ever before. So join in on the fun, get your season 2012 Vixens membership and show your support as the Superwomen of Netball. Take to the court. 3-game packages available at Melbourne Vixen